Okay, welcome everyone to our January 18th, 2022 meeting, EAB meeting. So let me bring up my agenda. So we want to welcome our new member, Trish. Welcome.
Thank you.
So
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Glad to have you join us. So I thought it'd be helpful for each of us to introduce ourselves, and then you can introduce yourself. So Ben, you mind introducing first?
Sure. Hi, I'm Ben Dietrich. I was previously the newest member. I joined the board in, I guess, I'm not sure exactly, maybe it was October, but I've lived in the township for almost 2 years now, and I work in the township too as a civil engineer, and I specialize in stormwater management issues.
Nice to meet you.
Andy, you mind introducing yourself?
Hi, name's Andy Katronic. So yeah, I've been on the board now since August or September of 2019. So a few years now, a couple years now. Let's see, I have a background actually in aerospace engineering, but I went back and got my master's in sustainable engineering from Villanova and completed that degree back in 2019 also. And I haven't told anyone. I've been keeping it a big secret, but actually I had exciting news that I said my background was in aerospace. But as of December, I actually am working in sustainability. I'm doing life cycle analysis and environmental sustainability work now as a professional with DuPont down in Wilmington.
Wow, congratulations, Andy.
Cool, congrats.
Great.
Congratulations.
You get to work remotely, I hope?
Well, I've been driving down there for the most part, but yeah, they are very open to it. And, my manager is in Michigan, and, the other team members, so they're fine. They actually were working with people in Pittsburgh before. So actually having the team together in Wilmington's a little unusual. But yeah, I think I'll be starting to commute a little more as I get to know the work a little better.
Yeah, congratulations. That's
Sorry,
good.
I say starting to commute, starting to work more remote.
Yeah, that's great news. Congratulations. Eunice, you mind introducing yourself?
Sure. I'm sorry. I'm kind of running in between driving kids to things, so I'm not going to be on camera. I'm Eunice Franklin Becker. I guess I've been on the board, I don't know, a year and a half now. My background is in public health. I recently finished a term on Colonial School Board that ended in December. I work in the clinical research industry, so working on, pharma companies outsource the management of their clinical trials to companies like ours. And so I do study oversight and staff management and business development for them. So nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
And so I'm Bill Saby, been on the board since it got initiated back, I think either 2007 or 2008. So we can do 2 3-year terms, and then you take a year break, and then if you want to continue. So I did my first 6 years, took the year break, and now I'm back in my second 6 years. So yeah, so I guess my background is IT. I've been in IT development, project management. Now I'm in SharePoint to Office 365 migration work. But I've always had an interest in environment and helping move things forward. So kind of my interest in helping the township. So with that background, Trish, how about you let us know a little bit about yourself?
Certainly. I've lived in Plymouth Township all my life. I actually live in the house that I grew up in. When my parents passed away, I bought it from the estate. So my career background is in procurement. I worked for DoD contractors in manufacturing for about 25 years. And then I went to IKEA for a change. I wanted to get out of the government contracting because it's so cyclical. I just needed a change. And that's kind of what opened my eyes to sustainability. IKEA had a very robust, what they called a people and planet positive initiative. So I was in global procurement there. I didn't purchase what we sold in the stores. I actually purchased what made the store run. So the lighting, the flooring, things of that nature. The children's play area was my responsibility. So in going out globally and visiting suppliers and, you know, sourcing, phasing in, phasing out suppliers, I really learned a lot about how we can impact the way companies do business in a positive way for our environment. And that really kind of clicked something in me. I've always loved nature and wildlife and animals and flowers and, you know, that whole bit. So right now, I'm taking a break. I'm saying I'm semi-retired, but after 2 years, I'm bored. So I don't know how long that's going to last, but I hope that fortunately for me, I can find something now that I'm really passionate about and not just working for a paycheck. I want to do something that I absolutely love. And yeah, so the environment, definitely, I'm interested in what we can do and seeing how things work and you know, what I can do to help you guys out in making Plymouth Township, you know, continue to make it the beautiful place it is to live, and then what we can do to enhance that.
Well, great to have you with us, Trish. Welcome. And I'm sure you'll fit right in. We all have varied interests and varied backgrounds, so we're going to be a great mix to kind of toss all these skills up and share them with each other as we go forward. Karen Bramlett, you and Trish may know each other, but do you want to say anything more about your role and how the environmental board works with the township?
I serve as council at large, meaning that I represent all 4 districts of the township, and I am council's liaison to the Environmental Advisory Board because I have a long-term interest in sustainable living, the environment, preserving our native species, plants and animals, insects, and healthy air, water. So that's me. And
Nice.
I've met Trish through her work at Sandwood Park, and we actually met in person to exchange some different native plant seeds. And she's very interested in Covanta and how it operates because she lives in its shadow. So I knew she would be a good fit and asked her if she'd be interested in serving when a vacancy opened up. And fortunately, she said yes.
Great.
And thank you.
Great to have all these good connections. We have 2 guests with us, Andrew and Karen. You want to briefly introduce yourselves?
Sure, I'll go first. I'm Andrew. I'm a Plymouth resident for 20 years now, I think. I'm pretty much good. Grew up in Plymouth on Belvoir Road. And I'm not on the board, but I run a small nonprofit in the area that focuses on tree planting. So we've done a lot of tree planting in the last year or 2 and looking to keep that going within Plymouth. So happy to be here.
Thanks, Andrew. Karen?
Hi, I'm Karen Kabnick. I met Andrew about 1.5 years ago, and I just retired at that time. And I just asked him if I could work with him and help him. And so we've kind of continued to develop colonial canopy trees. And we, as Andrew said, we've been planting, and we want to work with you guys some more.
Nice. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And Mike, our other board member, we just went around introductions, just kind of saying our township time and environmental board interests. So you want to introduce yourself? Mike, are you able to unmute? Or maybe he doesn't have a microphone. Actually, his participant thing says he doesn't have a microphone. So let me just send him a chat. If he wants to dial in, he can. Okay, so we'll give him a chance to take a look at that. Okay, so then this being our annual turn reorganization, this is our meeting where we get to select our chair, vice chair, and secretary for the year. Well, this past year I was chair, Andy was vice chair, and Debbie Levese, who had to leave at the end of last year, was our secretary. So one of the roles of the secretary would be to take minutes. You know, that's something that some of us aren't always a fan of doing, but we could take turns, you know, as another approach. But anyway, those are the roles. Would anybody like to self-nominate to be chair? Would anybody like to self-nominate to be vice chair? Would anybody like to self-nominate to be secretary? So those are the three opportunities.
I'll nominate myself for secretary.
Ben, appreciate that. Anybody for chair or vice chair?
And self-nominate for vice chair, Bill.
Andy, continuing your role. So I can take chair if no one else wants to take that role this year. I'm kind of used to it, so I don't mind. So I guess in terms of just making sure we kind of follow our protocol, I guess, may I have seconds on those nominations? Or a second on those nominations?
Yep, I second.
And then all in favor, I guess we would say yes, or is it, I forget how we do this, or is there anybody not in favor? So if we're all in favor, we would adopt this. So no nays, I guess, right? All right, good. So that motion's adopted for our new roles for this year. So then the next item is our minutes from December. Did anyone have a chance to review those? Any comments on December? Actually, I can bring it up because it's a fairly short document.
Bill, can you hear me?
Yeah, we got your audio, Mike. Okay, good to have you on.
Yeah, thanks. So just real quick, maybe you talked about it before, but is Debbie going to be gone for foreseeable future, or is she a possibility of coming back?
She, as her mother needs assistance, health
Okay, it's her mother. Okay.
At home care. So Debbie felt like that was just too much for her to be able to do this with her job.
Sure.
So right now this is indefinite, meaning she may be retired permanently, but we encouraged her, Karen especially gave her a good encouragement to come back.
Okay.
So we know how valuable she was and what she did to support our team.
Yeah. I was gonna say she was a great fit, I thought, for the EAB. So we'll be sad to see her go for sure. So.
Yeah, because she also had some. She was in what was her arena? I think she was in sustainable social responsibility, corporate social responsibility. That's right. So let's see. All right. So talking about minutes. So this was the minutes draft. So the vacancies, the tree planting review, 2021 review, the potential topics for the new year. We're going to go over that tonight.
Bill, were you planning on sharing a screen?
Oh, sorry about that. I dragged the screen over and I forgot to hit the share button. Sorry about that. Thanks for reminding me. So these were the minutes that Debbie put together. She was kind enough to do this as her departing chair. So any comments on anything anyone remembers from last month that they want to make any corrections?
I have a comment on number, well, I guess the first comment is on the numbering.
Oh,
There's
yeah,
two number threes.
we've got an extra number, don't we?
On number 3, I think we were just having a discussion right now that maybe Carolyn might be continuing on the board. There seems to be some uncertainty there.
Yep, good point.
And maybe this could be rephrased that Carolyn's term expired instead of departing from the EAB. I think that would solve that discrepancy.
I spoke with Carolyn and she said that she was going to get in touch with Karen Weiss and say that she wanted to continue. Whether or not she did, I don't know, but she was going to say she would continue. That's
All right,
that's all.
That's good. So we're waiting for her, waiting.
I'll try to follow up with her.
Waiting for reapplication. Or term continuance. And then Debbie was departing.
And I didn't have any other comments on the minutes.
Great, thanks, Ben. So then part of the role of the secretary would be then I'll send you the email for Karen Weiss's assistant, and you would then email them to her to get posted on the website.
Sounds good.
Good. So let me go back to this. Okay, so, sorry, Mike. Want to give you a chance to introduce yourself since we'd all gone around so Trish could learn who we were. I wanted to give you a chance.
Sure. My name is Mike Kitchapelli. I lived in Plymouth Meeting, I think, since 2015 in our house over here, 3 doors down from Andy, and then a couple streets over from Ben. And and what's her name lives right next to you, right, Ben?
Debbie lives down the street.
Debbie,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So, I work for Air Products up in Allentown. Have experience with industrial gases, chemicals, power, things like that. So, and I think I just renewed my second term for the board. So I think this is my, what are the terms? 3 years?
Yep, 3 years.
So I think this is the beginning of my fourth year then on here. So something like that.
Yay, Mike, glad to have you back.
Yeah, I got that renewal thing in the mail, and then the problem was my kids found it and they hid it somewhere. So I saw it.
The dog
Yeah.
ate it, right?
I have to go find it still, but I guess I could just email. I mean, I got the letter from what's her name, Karen Weiss, that I had been reappointed. So I guess everything's okay now. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm glad to be here. So
Nice to meet you.
nice to meet you as well.
And the other nice thing that Mike did with his first Air Products projects was working with the hydrogen team. And he brought the hydrogen car down a couple times for us to get a little demo ride outside the Muni building.
Yeah, they have a brand new one too. I don't know if you saw the newest Toyota Mirai. It's pretty sharp looking, and they have one in our headquarters now. So just a matter of time till I get it down for a meeting. Whenever we get back to real meetings. So
maybe we could put in a bid to get it back or get it for the Township Day.
yeah, we can always try. It's the only problem is it's in high demand. So
Yeah, I could imagine.
yeah. So
Well, that's excellent. Let me just see what else is on here. Okay, so I wanted to mention the EAC Network Conference. I didn't get to put the link in here, but after the meeting, I'll forward you the email. So it's a great opportunity to hear what other EACs are doing across the state. It's a kind of a annual conference, and they try to get as many EAC representatives to participate. So if you can afford to take a day off from your family Saturday, and you can get a discount, by registering by the 31st. So I just
I
want
feel
to.
so I
Yep.
think, what was it? It's like 2 hours in the morning, take an hour off or something, then another 2 hours.
Yeah, you're right. It was like 10 to noon, you're right, and a lunch break, and then sessions in the afternoon. And there are some breakout sessions, there's some main speakers. So it's a pretty well put together. And what was interesting is this conference, of course, had always been in person prior to COVID. So I remember it happening at least over in the Malvern area at one of the Desmond Hotel there off of 29. And I remember that year how inspiring it was to hear these people share their stories. And of course, because we were passing each other in the hall or going into breakout rooms with each other, you could find somebody that you wanted to network with. It was really exciting to kind of have that hand-to-hand engagement. So I was surprised though that last year when they did the virtual, how powerful the chat was. It was almost like there was so much information sharing across the chat. There were a ton of links that people were sharing about best practices and things that they were doing. So in some ways, the virtual made it even more engaging for learning more about the possibilities that we can participate in.
Do you have any idea the number of attendees previously?
I can't recall. Andy, you attended last year, didn't you?
Yeah, you give me a minute, I might be able to find the notes on that. I probably wrote down.
Yeah, I think it was at least 100, Mike. I'm just guessing, but that was, my gut feel of, just perspective, but.
Right.
And then the link, when I send you the link, it does have the agenda that's planned. Actually, let me just look it up while I'm here, because we might as well find it. So I just forwarded it to somebody this week.
Yeah, sorry, I you have the notes. I didn't write down how many people I saw online last year.
Here it is. So they're going to do EAC network success stories in the morning. And that's really nice to hear about examples of what different EACs are doing. They did that last year also, and there were a lot of different. There's some breakout sessions, so that would be a good way to kind of pick areas of interest. Oh, here's the definition of what these breakout. Okay, so they're breakouts in the morning. Oh no, right after lunch. Okay, so success stories is going to be the 2-hour morning phase. We get the lunch break. Then we're going to have 2 breakout sessions, and your choices of 3 each, or 2 in the later one. So here's 3 options there, and here's 2 options for the last session. Good. So I'll send you that link after the meeting. All right, so before we get into discussing our potential 2022 projects, I'd like to give Andrew and Karen a chance to talk to us about trees, just because you won't need to stay on for the rest of the meeting, so that way you can take off. But sorry that Rick is not here. I have not had a chance to speak to Rick directly about your inquiry. I can definitely give him a call this week, but Andrew, why don't you let us know what you're thinking?
Sure. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I reached out recently to Bill and Rick about PHS Tree Tenders trees. So each year during the fall and spring, PHS Tree Tenders offers trees to tree tender groups, and they can purchase them for planting wherever. Plymouth Township has ordered them in the past, and Karen and I wanted to step in and offer our assistance in purchasing and organizing volunteer events to help plant those trees. So recently you guys have planted some at Harriet Wetherill Park and Caldwell Park as well. So the list of trees that are available for the spring just came out, and the order has to be submitted February 10th, I think, or February 11th. So we just wanted to offer our assistance if it's needed, to select native species and find locations to plant them and to actually plant the trees as well. But yeah, that was one of the topics that I had proposed, and another was about a specific project within Harriet Wetherill Park. There's a small section of forest within Harriet Wetherill that's pretty full of really good, like old mature native species, a lot of oaks, hickories, beeches, really nice mature forest there. But it's slowly becoming inundated with some pervasive non-native invasive species that we would like Colonial Canopy Trees proposed a volunteer event or two for this upcoming spring to pull out some non-native invasive plants like Norway maple, multiflora rose, any kind of oriental bittersweet, a lot of plants that are outcompeting our native vegetation within that space. So we wanted to reduce those numbers and open up some space. There's some gaps in the canopy where we can plant some good native tree species. So we proposed that as well. So we'd love to hear what you all think, and yeah, going forward, love to work with you guys as well.
Yeah, I think it looks sounds like a great proposal. So I will touch base with Rick and see what his thinking is, and suggest maybe we get a call with you just to kind of talk about the logistics of all of it. So in the past, when Rick has ordered the bare root trees, tell me what the difference is in the bare root that we currently have been getting, and maybe what you're suggesting.
Yeah, so the bare root trees are through tree tenders, and they're a great option because bare root trees are known to adapt quicker to the soil, and they take off quicker if they're planted correctly and cared for. So another good reason to order them is because they're subsidized by PHS if they're planted in a public place. So they're $55 for an 8 to 10 foot, 1.5 inch caliper tree, which is a pretty good price that you can't really beat. So like I said, Plymouth Township has ordered them previously, but last fall we did not order any. So that's why we're offering our assistance, because we'd like to see some more trees, obviously. Karen,
Yeah.
did you have anything?
The only thing I would add to what Andrew offered is that you guys had planted some tree tender trees in the past, and we thought maybe we could also, another project would be to take care of those, to mulch them and make sure they're taken care of with mulch, and make sure the bark guards aren't too tight, and all that kind of stuff. So that would kind of be another project that we're suggesting.
Yeah, so our last planning, the EAB was last spring over at Caldwell Park. You haven't to look at those to see how well we did or how well they're maintained by any chance? I haven't been over there.
I haven't looked at those at Caldwell. park, but I checked out those at Harriet Wetherill. I'm not sure when those were done. They look to be maybe a couple years ago.
Yeah, that was fall of 2019 when we did the Harriet Weatherall. What's your opinion on how well they're maintained?
I think they could all use mulch, especially at that location, because it seems to be a pretty hot and dry location. So mulch will help with the temperature regulation in the soil around the roots, and as well with the bark guards, or the ties, the arbor ties. Some of them are pretty tight, and the tree has begun to grow over those, and the arbor ties are embedded in some of the bark. So we'd like to, get those off, and some of the bark has been rubbed by bucks, so they need bark guards if they're not already on there. But
Just to make them healthier.
Yep.
yeah,
them
give them a
last
better
longer.
chance of,
Yeah.
right, yeah.
That makes sense. Andy, you have a comment?
So I've been to Caldwell some over the summer and fall. The trees survived so far. So they always, but you're not
Can't
hearing me?
hear Andy.
Yeah, your audio is something garbled it.
I'll come back.
He's gonna get his
Hey,
headset.
Bill, while we're waiting for Andy, I don't want to get too, gun ho here, but I wouldn't mind helping to facilitate some of that mulching. I'm right by Caldwell Park. I'm actually attached to Sandwood Park, and I go to Harriet Wetherill all the time with my grandson. So if you just want to maybe make a note that when you talk to Rick, if he wants to work with me on, if he drops the mulch, I can help disperse it, maybe get some volunteers to do that. So just putting that out there.
No, I appreciate that, Trish. I will mention that to Rick. That's a generous offer, so thank you. That would be a big help, I'm sure.
My
I
pleasure.
live next door to Harriet Wetherill, and the hackberry and black gum are doing well. I want you to know, very well planted.
Thank you.
And I can see them from my yard. So the deer have not knocked down the fence. And I'm familiar with that little forest area. It's an old growth forest. It has both shagbark and pignut hickories, as well as the oak. And in addition there to what you mentioned, there's also some Japanese honeysuckle and English ivy starting to creep up in there. I've been pulling some of it out. I also noticed in some of the fields, there are some volunteer calorie pear trees. So I already checked with John, who's the public works employee who kind of takes care of that area, and asked if I could go out and cut down those calorie pears, which are now illegal to be sold in Pennsylvania because they're very invasive.
Thanks,
Yes,
Karen. Good input. Andy, are you back in business?
we'll see. I don't know. Can you hear me a little better?
That's a little better.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I've been to Caldwell a few times, and the trees that we planted last spring have survived. They've been looking okay, but they definitely doesn't look like there's been much attention given to them over the summer and so forth. So they could certainly use some fresh mulch and you know, some adjustments there, and so I think a lot of the suggestions that Andrew and Karen offered would be well received there from those trees.
Yeah, we put all that hard work breaking up that hard dirt. We want them to survive. That was the hardest dirt we'd ever experienced.
Yeah.
I think we needed a couple pickaxes.
We've done pickaxes. We have.
Yeah, so really appreciate all the work Andrew, you and Karen have been doing in the area with all your outreach. So I will definitely bend Rick's here and see if we can get him to work with you guys on a lot of these suggestions. So thank you so much for your generous offers.
Thank
Just
you.
one comment. I don't mean to put pressure, but we kind of want to get the list together so we can get it into PHS, so we get the trees you want. They say the deadline is the 10th of February, but they also say the sooner you get in your requests, the more likely you'll get the trees you want. So not too much pressure, but a little pressure there.
Yep, time is of the essence, I think.
Thanks, Bill.
I agree. Is there a certain, to get that good discount price, is there a limit that they only give us 10 trees at a time, or?
We can have 30 as long as they are planted within a public place or within 10 feet of a street. And anything above the 30, we can get for $95 a tree. And if anybody wants one for their own property, they can have it for $95 per tree. So there's no total limit, but of the $55 trees, 30 is the limit. Did that make sense?
Yep, no, that's helpful. I think Rick's philosophy also was that he wanted to make sure we had those of us in the board willing to work the weekend within, the receipt of the trees. So if he receives the trees on a certain week, he wants us to get them in, that weekend. So that's the only thing we would want to make sure that we have our ability to help him out with that.
So Andrew and I have, mostly Andrew, have managed to gather some volunteers. So they have to be in. The weekend is April 23rd is the actual Saturday. They come in the week before, so we can certainly do it, a couple of days before, a few at a time. But the big events are usually Saturday and Sunday, the 23rd and 24th. So that's the week, just to give you guys a heads up on that.
So it's of those of us in the board, anybody feel like they're eager to get back out and plant this year and think you're available that weekend?
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that. That's a lot of fun, and I'll bring my pickaxe too this time. So.
Oh, good, good.
What's the date again?
It's April 23rd is the Saturday. If you guys wanted to do it Friday or whatever's convenient for your schedules, or Sunday, that's fine too. They just have to, as Bill said, they have to be in the ground because they've been taken out of the ground and have their dirt shook off of them, and then they're saturated in diaper gel. And you got to kind of get them in the ground to give them by that Sunday to give them the best shot for survival.
Well, I'm certainly interested in helping out and volunteering. I can't make any, with 3 little ones in the house, I can't make any guarantees on dates, but I will certainly be ready to consider it when we put closer to the date.
You're off the hook.
Sounds good.
I know better.
You can count me in.
Yep, sure will. Thanks, everyone. Andy, your hand is still up. Did you have anything else you wanted?
Yeah, I mean, a slightly different topic here on the tree planting. I think we might have mentioned it last time, but I think it's the Growing Ambler Greener organization, where they actually on their webpage, they have tree adoption. So, they look for volunteers to adopt trees. They let them know where the trees have been planted, and then look for them to adopt, and periodically, I guess, take care of them, mulch them, if it's really dry, I guess water them, etc. But I don't know, I just thought that was a really neat thing and way to get the community involved. I think it's done well there. That was my understanding, but not something I'm involved in, so I don't know the latest news on that, but just thought I'd share it.
Have you run across them, Andrew?
Yes, we actually have, for the trees that we've planted, colonial canopy trees, we have a program called the Tree Stewards program, and it's exactly like Adopt a Tree. So for the trees that we've planted that are, maybe, as we've planted, I think over 200 trees now in the last year or two, we found some volunteers who will adopt a tree or two in their local area, and we'll water them during droughts during the summer, or will notify us if there's any problems or anything. And yeah, we have a web page on our website if anyone's interested in adopting a tree.
And I think this could
Or
even
two.
this could even be a Facebook post for us to just kind of promote that also. Oh, great. I think that's a good setting the stage for us. So I think we'll have a lot of things we can share with Rick. So I will strive to get my call out to him this week and let you
Thanks,
know.
Bill. Thanks so much to everybody
Thank you.
for
Thank
letting
you.
us.
Thanks for your
Sure.
visit, Karen and
Okay.
Andrew. Best wishes.
Bye.
Take care.
Thank you
Fun.
too very
Thank you.
much.
Take
care.
care.
Have fun.
Bye. All right, we're tree planters. Let me just see what else we had in our list. So this is kind of our chance to plan, dream, come up with ideas of what we might want to do this year. So we had talked about a lot of this in December meeting, just kind of reflecting on what we had accomplished in 2021, but then these were a lot of the topics that we had put up for potential discussion in 2022. So now that Trish is with us, I just wanted to give us a chance to review it, see if anybody has anything else they're interested in, any questions about some of these, or we can kind of take them as we go through the year. I don't know that there's a lot of priority, except the MICA 2040 grant is March 1st, or maybe March. I'll have to find out. March 1st, I think. So that would be an opportunity for us to get some money for some trail or park enhancement project. There's a few examples on their website that we can look at. The link was back down in the old business in number 2. So let me see, this is.
Sorry, Bill, while you're looking at, pulling this up, is this a grant that the township would apply for, or the EAB would apply for?
It would have to be, have to be with the township.
The township, okay.
And how much the match is, of course, would determine whether the township feels they have enough money in their, kitty to do a match. I don't remember what the exact ratio is for that type of thing. Let me see, does it give a deadline? Yeah, March 1st, 2022. So we would have to find out what would be involved, get that in front of Rick to take the request to the township. I could mention it to him on my phone call with the trees to see. I can't remember exactly where they give some examples of projects, but we could take a look at who won in last year.
So two questions for you. Let's see, Karen Bramlett's still on. I just wondered, last year we heard basically there were going to be no grant applications submitted, that basically, because even with the grant, you still have to usually do a 50% match, and the township wasn't spending money on that. So do we think we'll be able to submit this and get the half match or whatever that the township needs to do is my first question.
I don't know. I know that we have a current grants for the East Plymouth Valley Park. One is for an inclusive playground that allows children with different abilities to make full use of the playground, and also redoing of a separate grant, redoing of the refreshment stand at East Plymouth Valley. So I don't know what other grants are in the works, or, nothing's been budgeted for this year other than those things, as well as, of course, redoing the township building.
I guess my concern looking at this is, it's mid-January and would require staffing and effort from the township. And usually, a solid grant application, you really, a lot more planning is going to go into it than what we might be able to come up with between now and mid or end of March, whatever the application date is.
Yep, I agree.
I think, if this is something we're interested in and really pushing for it next year, then now is when we should start the planning for next year's grant applications
Yep.
and what we'd want to do and try to spec out exactly what those things are. And I guess, my other question is, the list there is very long, and we are a small volunteer board. And I wonder if we could pick, 2 or 3 of the items on that list and make those really our focus for the year and develop very specific time-driven goals and objectives so that we can actually feel like, hey, we really accomplished something. We did this outreach activity, we did this at Township Day, and we planned for this grant application next year. Materially what it ends up being, it doesn't matter, but I just wonder if we could really rein in our focus a little bit.
Yep, those are all good points. So yeah, let's talk about our topics, potential topics, just to make sure we all understand what they could involve. So last November, we actually talked about the plastic bag ban. And there are several townships in the Southeast PA area that are working on that strategy and going as far as they can to implement. We've got two municipalities that have already implemented, so we can learn from their examples on what they have done. So that's just that topic. The trail development, over the years, we've been interested in extending the cross-county trail from Chemical Road into White Marsh. And the county is responsible for that major piece of it. So we're continuing to monitor what they're doing. But in conjunction with that segment, the comprehensive plan was updated at the end of 2019. And there was a appendix or a component of that that's a township-wide trail plan. So in those trails would connect to the cross-county trail. So there was a loop proposal that would connect from the cross-county trail up to Township Line, up to White Marsh, or Whitpain, because the Whitpain is bringing their trail down to Township Line and Jolly Road. So if we were able to get a connection there, then and get it all the way to Cross County Trail, that would give Whitpain and us access to Montgomery County Community College North and things like that. And then the Cross County Trail that's going into White Marsh, we had also added a segment from Plymouth Road at that intersection with Butler Pike towards the mall. So that would create the loop. So theoretically, we would have the Cross County Trail loop up to the mall, up to Township Line, and then back down to Cross County Trail. That's just that topic. Community education was the idea that because of our interest in helping the community learn about different topics, and this can be anything. We did spotted lanternfly a year or so ago. We have topics like the energy transition, community energy transition to renewable energy, solarize, helping people, get solar on their roofs. energy transition planning. How do you transition your existing energy load to renewable? All of that would be a community outreach effort, educating people on different environmental topics. Survey could be asking the community, what type of environmental topics are you interested in? You know, what would be your priorities for the township? Tree plantings, we've talked about, the grants, and then we have the township day in June. So those were some of the things that were thrown out in our discussion. Any others that we missed or people have an interest in taking a look at that we haven't talked about? I think the other potential community outreach could be the schools, because I know some schools have environmental clubs. And I think that getting the youth involved with community education and outreach can help kind of close the loop. You know, we have a connection through the youth to their parents, and helps get our word out, you know, what we want to learn, you know, promote. So anybody have any reaction to any of those that catches your interest or eagerness for this year that we work on?
Yeah, I really think the plastic bag ban would be a good thing to get started if we could. I don't really know the first, like you said, there are other municipalities doing it now, so maybe lay the groundwork for us. But like my in-laws live in Madison, New Jersey, and we were there for the holidays, and since we were there last time, they implemented no bags in all the grocery stores and everything. So, and it was nice. So I don't know, that's the thing. If I were to rank one, that would be the thing I think we should work on. So
I was thinking the same thing. That's the first thing that caught my eye, that what a great idea, because if you drive around, you see plastic bags everywhere, in the trees, on the shrubs. I mean, it's terrible, but I just don't know, you know, what it entails to actually implement something like that. But
yeah,
I have to agree with you.
you know, and for a while, I remember I saw there were like park benches that some companies were making, and it had a label on it that said this is made from recycled shopping bags from grocery stores. I don't see those anymore. I don't know if there's also a way we can try to, you know, burn the candle at both ends by stopping this and seeing if we can also get some of those benches or something like that too as part of it. But anyway.
So I'm curious if Karen Bramblett, what for council to consider implementing a ban, what would this board need to bring to you? You know, what are you guys going to take into consideration? What do you need to consider such a proposal?
Will there be a buy-in by the businesses? How will it impact our businesses? We depend a lot in Plymouth on, you know, revenue from our businesses, and it's both the big box places as well as the small businesses that we have here in Plymouth. So I think, you know, looking at ways to get business to buy in, how does it get implemented? Does our charter allow, I mean, this actually is a question for our solicitor. Will our charter allow us to enact such a thing? I imagine it would, but you know, it always depends on whether we have the authority. So I think having public and business buy-in would be very important, and knowing what happened in other places and how it financially impacted people would be very important. I mean, there are businesses around here, I can't think of any right in our township, but that do not give you any kind of bags when you're there. Aldi's in Whitpain. Oh, we have an Aldi's now too. I haven't been there yet. Over near Home Depot, doesn't give you anything. I mean, you gotta bring your own. Weaver's Way up on Butler Pike in Ambler, they have some boxes there that you can use. Whole Foods doesn't use plastic. They give you, I think, 5 cents for every bag you bring of your own, and they use paper bags. So there are businesses around that do it. So I think as council, we would want to know what kind of impact that would have and what kind of pushback we might get from business.
I'd like to add some to that discussion and back to our overall discussion of what are the big goals that we're looking to set for the board for this year. And I completely agree with the plastic bag ban. And every time we talk about it, I think it's been this is the third meeting. It's been a topic of conversation, and there's always great stuff to talk about, and there's always engagement, and there's always a really long list of things that we can think of that we can take it to the next step. So that engagement is a really good sign, and I think we can unpack a lot of next steps from that. I also want to touch on the community engagement aspect of some of these topics, which I see like some of them, like the survey and the education and the even the township day, to all fall under community engagement. And one aspect of that, which may or may not be along the same lines of just like a township day event, is like surveying businesses and getting their interest, or seeing if businesses are into the idea or finding which ones are resistant, and even doing that on a community side. We want community support for something like this too. Are all of the members of our community ready to go to a store and not have bags available and things like that? Or even just like make sure everybody's educated on why it's important, so that when something does come down to a decision or a vote or giving an opinion, that they're all informed and have that information. So I bring that up just because I think that there's a second component I think is important for our board to focus on, and it kind of feeds back into that first one, which I think will really strengthen it.
Excellent. Yep. Good input, everyone. Agree. And I think part of educating ourselves also, there's this Penn Environment representative who has kind of been focusing on this at the municipal level. And we had a short phone call to answer a few questions, but I don't think we really had a chance to really vet out a lot of these ideas. And I think Karen Bramlett raised a lot of good points about what we want to make sure we understand before we go too far. So I think maybe it'd be good for us to invite him back. And now that we're doing Zoom, he could attend in person, or on virtually, and we could get more in-depth back and forth as to challenging him, some of these concerns, and make sure we know how to handle them. Because if he's seen municipalities already handle a lot of this, there probably would be good collateral to help us with our education and our outreach, and even flyers to go to businesses and things like that, to kind of give them a heads up. So yeah, let's see if we can get him. I'll see if I can contact him to get him to see if he can join us at one of our next meetings. Excellent. And regarding the Township Day, I think last year we, Eunice, really appreciate your extra help on getting, engaging activity with the children and youth. And Debbie did a lot to, help us man the booth. And so we do have a good set of posters, flyers. Andrew created a poster. So we got more than enough information to share at the booth.
Yeah, I guess I would just ask Bill that maybe we think about, what is the message that we want to send? Because I think, we had such a broad range of information, everything from spotted lanternfly to, solar to, what can you recycle in the township? And I wonder if we could maybe, again, like focus it in on a handful, a smaller handful of issues to say, this is what the EAB does. This is our focus. Here's how you can get involved. And then, we have the stuff that brings the kids to the table, which brings the parents. And so if that's, that we want your opinion about plastic bag bans or, whatever the topic is, that we kind of build ourselves a really clear, concise platform to do that. And that could be, for Township Day, but I think then we could also build on it and say, have that be our, those be our guideposts for, running meetings and coming back to it and really making progress. So if we are pursuing the bag ban, then, every meeting we're trying to, come closer to having, very specific action steps, and how are we proceeding against those?
Yep, I agree. And also,
I'm sorry, I have to drop off.
Yep, thanks, Eunice.
Hi, Eunice.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, I think those are all good points to kind of focus our messaging. Also, I think that we'll have an opportunity to maybe share more of our story via the quarterly newsletter. And so even if we don't get to share everything in the Township Day, we can definitely kind of keep sending out bits of information about each of our projects overall, just to kind of keep the community informed. And maybe it'll elicit some helpful hands at some point too. Good discussion. Anything else you guys think about in terms of next steps? So I'll work on seeing if we can get a plastic ban information session next time, get some background information on other communities who have started it, see where we are locally, in the region, and then see if we can get this Penn environment speaker. That'll kind of give us a good foundational starting point, because we'll see the lay of the land. We'll find out where others have made progress, and maybe we can pick up on their best practices so we don't have to reinvent the wheel. So we've got February, March, April, May, and then we'll have Township Day. So we've got February, March, April, May. So we got 4 months before Township Day. So we have a lot of time to plan for that. We'll have the April tree planting, and I'm sure we'll have an opportunity to get a few Facebook posts up with information sharing on different topics as we go forward. And any ideas you guys have for sharing in Facebook, definitely keep sending your ideas in through email, just so we can kind of keep ideas that we could use. So, okay, that's a good list. I think we've got enough to work on during the year, don't you?
Yeah, there was I'm sending, I have the email up now. There was a fact versus fiction on the spotted lanternfly. I guess, things have spread on Facebook about that they're toxic for animals and stuff like that. And so there's a factual article on, what they're bad for and what they're not bad for, that I thought maybe we should post, just to remind people not to be, scared of them or anything like that.
That's a good idea, Mike. Yeah, if you could send that around to us.
Yeah, I'll send it in a couple of minutes here.
Oh yeah, Andy put it in the chat. I didn't notice this before he left, but he was interested in, well, the ETP is our energy transition plan. So we have an energy transition plan draft that we've presented to the township. It's on hold right now while the township building is being rehabbed, but we're hoping that once they have capacity, we'll be able to start implementing that and help the municipal operations transition to clean renewable electricity by 2035 and all energy by 2050, which would include their vehicle fleet and then the heat side of it. The good thing is that the township building is going to be geothermal. So that aspect of our renewable heat aspect is going to be met with the township building. So we'll just have to figure, by 2050, what do we do with the natural gas to the community center? What's the transition plan for that? That's a ways off. I don't know if we'll be around for that, at least in the board.
The tree planting, so there'll be the opportunity maybe in that weekend in April that we just talked about, and then is there usually one in the fall then too?
Yeah, and I think Rick skipped it this fall only because
Right.
the township building work was just getting so intense that they didn't have the capacity to offer it. So we can definitely ask about a fall, if we have a success in April, let's go for the fall, right?
Yeah. Let's just not do it in the summer like last year. Yeah.
Well, that's right. How come it was in,
I think they pushed it because of COVID stuff, maybe.
oh, the tree order was delayed or something. I forget.
Whatever it was. All I remember is I remember sweating my, what off digging all those holes last time. So
That was a tough day, Mike. I know.
yeah.
Um,
I
Bring
do have
water
one
this
thing.
time, everybody.
I'm sorry,
I-
Karen?
I was gonna say, bring water.
Yes.
Lots of water.
Yes, stay hydrated. Trish?
I don't know what our public works staffing is like, but I did volunteer at a tree planting event last fall, and the public works department had dug the holes, and then they had a big pile of mulch there. So it was really nice because there was like 4 and 5-year-old kids that had their little shovels while some, dad was holding the tree straight, backfilling the holes. So we didn't have to really kill ourselves digging those holes. So it's just something I wanted to put out there. If Rick picked the spots and had someone dig the holes, we just come and plant them and easy peasy.
Yeah, that's nice. Where was that planting? Where did you guys do it?
It was at Cedar Grove Park. We planted 9 trees in the fall. So it was
nice.
actually White Marsh Township that I volunteered to go help.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's White Marsh, not Plymouth.
That's why I said I don't know what our Plymouth Works staffing is like, or if Rick would even have the capacity to handle something like that.
Because
But it did.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, because Rick was there. I'm trying to think of the last time I went. Rick was there, and so was another guy.
Yeah,
I don't remember what his name was.
He had a guy on his staff.
Right, because they had the public works truck and everything with all the trees in it, right?
John McGonigal.
Oh, is that his name? Okay.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, there were like 8 of us or something like that. And then we dug all the holes with the public works guys, and then we all kind of did it at the same time. So
and I don't mind. I'll
yeah.
dig a hole. I'm just saying it was really nice that we just had to
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
put the tree down and backfill it.
Right.
Yeah, it's a real treat. So I'll ask Rick if he has that equipment. He didn't, he hasn't mentioned that in the last 2 tree plantings we've done them all with shovels. But yeah, we can ask. Maybe we can borrow the post hole digger from White Marsh.
Maybe even Colonial Canopy, if Rick tells them where he wants the trees planted, maybe they can get some of their staff of volunteers to come out the week before and dig the holes as well. I'm just saying, maybe there's some options for us because some of those holes, I don't want to have a heart attack either, but I'll do my best.
Yeah. I actually almost fainted twice.
Yeah, it'll be a lot cooler in April if we're gonna do it. It won't be 95 and 100% humidity like it was last time.
It was a warm day.
Yeah, it was oppressive. Yeah.
And Caldwell
Jeez.
Park, I swear, has cement soil, so
Yeah.
that was the other problem.
That was
Harriet
weird.
Weatherall has been grazed and pooped on by horses for decades. And so it was easy slipping the shovel in there and digging out the dirt.
Yeah, that was a nice day. Cool.
It
All
was
right.
cold.
We'll try to make it easier for ourselves. Definitely less strain, less pain. So then just a quick update on the Reggie status of Pennsylvania's regional greenhouse gas initiative. Pennsylvania wants to become a member based on Governor Wolf's executive action. The PADP has drawn up the rules and has all the implementation aspects kind of formulated. The trick was that because of our legislature, Pennsylvania legislature, and our ingrained interests in coal and natural gas, because of our proliferation of natural gas or frack gas drilling, especially out west, there's been a lot of pushback. So almost 2/3 of the legislature is kind of against the governor doing this. And but environmentalists and everyone else who's spoken up, the number of positive comments versus negative comments when you consider the testimonies by the public, which was taken in December of 2020, that was overwhelmingly positive. So it's going forward, but with a little bit of resistance. The governor just vetoed the negative response from the House and the Senate. But now for the Senate to override the veto, they have to have 2/3 of their members override. And the vote for the negative resolution was just under what they would need to do it. So we're like 1 vote or 2 votes would keep it Reggie alive. So that's going to be happening in the next month or so. I'm not sure when that's going to go to vote. But the idea would be once it gets, they can allow the rulemaking to go forward, then there is a auction, or they set an allowance of emissions that the electric generating plants in Pennsylvania would have to stay under a certain amount of emissions. They set this kind of limit, and then they set a number of allocations that their allowances, I should say, that they're allowed to have. And if they go over those allowances, then they have to pay their overage. And the money that's raised by the revenue of these auctions then goes to clean air in Pennsylvania. So the primary purpose of this is to reduce emissions, clean our air, create a healthier environment for our citizens, and that's the goal. The secondary aspect to this is that the legislature can then create their own bill or money allocation and say, well, we don't want all that money needing to go to just the clean air focus. We want to share some of that money with retraining for the fossil fuel industry and the natural gas industry into the renewable energy jobs. We want to use some of that money to help low income payers be able to pay their energy bills. So there's a lot of ways the legislature could use that money after they decide to go forward. But because they're so against this, they aren't doing anything to really keep it moving in that direction. So we're going to keep our fingers crossed that that's going to take place. It's likely that they won't make it in this first quarter. So maybe the start of it would be then in the second quarter. So we'll see how that goes. Any questions on that? And I think just as us as environmentalists and even a local facility or a mode here, just us being informed citizens of the state, to see that, the state's decisions can impact us locally, our air quality and how it affects our health also in the public domain. The second piece here was the PA waste coal and Bitcoin. So there's a researcher in Penn Future, another environmental organization focused on improving Pennsylvanians' environment. And he discovered that there's been this push now with Bitcoin computer servers, people that they call it mining. But what these computers are doing is they're generating the hash numbers that make up the blockchain linkages, so that there are all these blocks where Bitcoins are kind of stored in those private key areas. And this growing network of blockchains are determined by these fast computers. So these businesses are running these computers to generate these addresses. And once their reward is, once they generate an address for that blockchain, then they get rewarded with a certain amount of Bitcoin. So the example he gave was that, they typically get about 6 Bitcoin, 5 to 6 Bitcoin. So, there was an example on a website that showed that these guys can generate these hashes within like a half an hour to an hour. And they can get $275,000 as a result of that. So the incentive for these companies that own these computer servers are to put more and more servers on this job and generate these addresses faster and faster. But because they're putting all these computers at this task, now we're generating much more in emissions. They aren't, the ones that are going to select a renewable energy source, electricity source to do this. And then in Pennsylvania, they found this loophole. So because of our definition of alternative energy in Pennsylvania, it includes waste coal and some other miscellaneous extra results of mining. So these operators found this opportunity to generate their electricity using waste coal, and they get subsidized for it. So now their cost of electricity generation is less than what all of us pay for our natural gas generated electricity in Pennsylvania. So they've actually found a way to get cheaper electricity than the rest of our commercial entities in Pennsylvania, because they decided to go buy this power plant and have it run just for their purposes off of this waste coal. But so now we've got this additional load of computers coming in to Pennsylvania. They're projecting they're going to add 57,000 of these servers to their task during this 2022. And then there's a tremendous amount of this carbon emissions that's going to result from it. So I think that educational webinar was really helpful just to kind of wake us up and realize, hey, wow, we didn't realize somebody could come in here and take advantage of this loophole. I think we as citizens could educate, our neighbors and help others. Maybe we could talk to our legislators, find out if there's anything the state can do to take away that advantage that they get, because they'd have to create a new regulation or a new bill or find a way to alter it. So, it's still kind of new to me, so I don't know what the answer is, but just wanted to share it with you guys so that you can be a little bit more aware also. So I'll send out the recording for that. I might have shared it a week ago, but I just want to make sure I get it to you again if you missed it.
That's very interesting, Bill.
Yeah, that's really disturbing. That's the first time I've ever heard of that.
It was really, it shocked us. All the people on the webinar. It was last Wednesday night, or no, maybe it was 2 weeks ago now. Time's flying. But yeah, we had so many people in the comments saying, how can this happen? What about the Pennsylvania, I forget what it is, Act 27 or 21 or Act 1 or 27 or something. There's a section of our Constitution that Pennsylvania is one of the rare states that actually has a statement in our Constitution that says that the environment shall be preserved for everyone's use. So there's theoretically some arguments that people who are proponents of that clause are using to try to argue that we can't be doing all these environmentally harmful things that our legislature is allowing. So anyway, so I just wanted to kind of let you guys be aware of that. So I don't have anything else. Rick's not with us tonight. We usually ask him for announcements coming from his side. So anything else that anyone else has that passed your mind as we've been talking?
Just because you brought up Bitcoin, I know a little bit about computers. So in terms of power, like a mining machine with like 2 graphics cards in it is on the order of like a hair dryer in terms of power consumption. So like upwards of 1,000 watts, something like that. It's a lot of power. So, and then if I don't know how many you mentioned when you were talking, Bill, how many they said they were going to put there, but it's like when you turn a microwave on in your house, sometimes our lights flicker a little bit. So it's a lot of power per machine to do this and still and make money. So yeah, there was a NPR story about this place in Minnesota that had the cheapest power in the US, traditionally generated power. And people were moving there just to buy buildings up to fill it with Bitcoin mining machines. Since then, there's been a bunch of local outrage over it because everyone's rates are going up. But anyway, neither here nor there, but I figured I'd share. So
No, that's a good connection, Mike, because you're right. I think they are jumping around the world to the cheaper power. I just saw an article where they had found out that the cheapest power was in forget one of the Western European, or maybe it was in the Eastern Bloc of
was this in a
Europe.
cave somewhere?
Yeah. And then
Yeah, I think I saw this. Yeah.
and then they found out that it was going to be somewhere else. And then the cost of moving all their server farms was going to be prohibitive. So it's almost like, if they don't jump on the right spot, they're out of business or beat by the other guys. So yeah,
Interesting.
it's a chase. All right. Well, we've got a lot to chew on this year, and I think we got some good projects we can work towards. So really appreciate
Could I-
ideas.
But just before we wrap up, could I read back a few things for the agenda, for the minute's sake, and see if make sure I captured any action items?
Yep.
The tree planting, we discussed the spring tree purchase. It requires some coordination with the township just to make sure we're interested and have space for it, and working with the nonprofit that volunteered to be present with that. Are there any follow-ups for that?
I was going to
Bill, you're-
call. Yeah, I'm gonna talk to Rick and try to coordinate that with Andrew and Karen.
And that was the weekend of the April 23rd. Is that what they said?
Yep, Saturday the 23rd, Sunday the 24th would be the rain date.
Is there any action for us having some initiatives to get volunteers through like the Facebook page or through the township newsletter?
That's a great idea, Ben. Why don't we add that to our actions? Say, let's put a post out for anyone interested in tree planting.
You may also want to talk to the Parks and Recreation Board, Shade Tree Advisory Board. Their members may be interested in volunteering. I think the very first time we did it, we had
Yep,
members from one of those boards.
I like it. Yep.
What can we do to reach out to that board?
So Rick actually had talked to their chair and helped us coordinate that. So I could ask him if he wants to do it, or I can, maybe track down the email for the chair and mention that we're gonna set this. So once I talk to Rick, and maybe I can find out what the best way to plan this.
Okay, that's a great idea. The Monco 2040 grant, I think we agreed that this year is not a possibility, just time frame. Is there anything we want to put down for starting next year, 2023? Anything we discussed?
Yeah, I think it would be maybe let's talk about it at one of our meetings, fit it in the agenda to discuss what we would want to target for next round next year. So we have.
Okay.
Can we just back up? I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. I think they said that there was a February 10th deadline to order the trees. So if we don't order any by the 10th and we meet next month, we already missed the deadline. So it doesn't matter if we have volunteers.
So yeah, so you're right. I'm going to talk to Rick first. Make
Okay.
sure he's aware of the February 10th deadline. And then you're right, before we put out the announcement for volunteers, we would make sure he's on board to get this February 10th order in. Yeah.
Okay,
And Rick would
thanks.
be placing the order, correct?
Yes.
Thanks for that clarification, Trish. Okay, we have a Monco 2040
Absolutely.
on the future topics list. We talked about plastic bag ban as a highlight item. Any action that was discussed to record?
Yeah, Bill to contact the Penn Environment, see if we can get him on our plate for an upcoming meeting.
Yeah, good. And then we had a Reggie update. We had a, which is just an FYI. I don't think there's any follow-up from that.
No,
And then the discussion about Bitcoin mining, which again, similar awareness item.
right.
I believe that was all I have here. Anything I missed?
Township Day, I think just in terms of us zeroing in on what we want to present and then taking any miscellaneous projects that don't fit into the quarterly newsletter and Facebook posts.
Got it. Yeah, Township Day is June.
Right.
So at some point that can be a bigger topic.
Yes. And you could mention the, we just noted the EAC Network Conference, and I'll
Right.
send you guys a link.
Got it. Anything else for the minutes?
I think that sounds pretty good coverage.
Great, thanks.
So we're ready to adjourn. Do we have a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
And a second
Second.
from Ben? Good. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate everybody's interest, engagement. Trish, so good to meet you virtually, and look forward to working with you as we get going.
Thank you. Same here.
Yeah, nice meeting you.
Have a great night. And yeah, we're going to get some snow later on. So be careful.
Stay warm.
All right. Take
All
care.
right.
Have a
Thanks,
good night.
everybody. Have a good
Bye
Take
now.
care, everyone.
See you guys.
Bye.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.